Hey guys, Peachy here on Peachy TT120. Hopefully you can hear me more clearly today. I've got a little clip-on microphone, suggestion from one of you guys. Thank you very much. Hopefully that's an improvement. And also I shall try to speak more clearly and concisely. Right, got the obligatory smiles out of the way. Excellent stuff. Right, straight into, we've got some model making going on today. You'll be glad to know. We are going to have the process, a full process of me making it, but we've edited and it's sped up, and I'll explain over the top what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Then we're going to have a little running session, not a long one, but using the new parts of the area that we've built. We're going to be having 3 locos, 14 coaches, and 5 wagons, all on an area that's 4 foot by 3 foot, which is the beauty of TT. What else we're going to do? At the end of it, what we'll do is we'll do a quick review of some of the product I've used and explain why I've used it, and not really review, more kind of like an explanation. Okay, hope you enjoy. Music today is a bit of an accompaniment by my lad Jimmy. He was rather inspired by Dartside Scenics. I think so he thought they'd have a little plink and plonk whilst we looked at me spraying some tracks with a bit of red primer. Now what I'm doing here is filling the holes with a little bit of tissue so that all the ballast doesn't disappear down the holes. And then we're just doing a little bit of backfilling here and there where we've got gaps and cracks and holes, so that when we do the ballasting, we're not ballasting the whole deck. Painting the backboard with some white acrylic. This will help us bounce some light around inside the shuffle yard, but it will also help seal up the ply to make it less likely to distort and wobble and flex with changes of temperature and moisture. And we painted both sides of the board. Here for the good old Peco painted backdrops, which I always loved as a kid. I'm sure they've been around that long. Was that my imagination? What we used there was just a little bit of wallpaper paste, obviously. Here we've got some aluminium angle, which I am using some contact adhesive. This helps make the backboard nice and straight, also protects the edge when I'm leaning over. Great little ballasting truck idea that someone 3D printed was selling on eBay. I'm doing a little practice ballast back here because I've never done it before, and I wanted to see how easy it was. Charlie made it look really easy at Chadwick, and he was right. It is easy. A little bit of brickwork going on in the background. I'd forgotten to put that bit in before ballasting, so I had to put that in now, because when you look through the tunnel, there's a chance you might see the back wall of the bricks there. That's a little bit of water with peat with washing up liquid to break the surface tension, and then on we go with some of the I forgot the name of it now. The ballast bond. That's it. That's the stuff. Bit of pastel fix. I'd forgotten. I should have done this first. I've done that a few times now. That is to spray over the Peco. Now that's nice and dry. That will help waterproof it. It also means that if we splash this with anything, it makes it a lot easier to wipe it off. A little bit of Dremel work on the end here. I decided that I really didn't want the trees and the landscape bit going on into mid-air, so I thought we'd cut this back and that would work. Here is the first piece of the scale scenes that I printed off and produced. This is their supporting wall. We're using it as a hide for the loading track and also the head unit fiddle yard at the back there. Really easy to do. Print off download the 00 version and then print it off at 63%, and then you get 120 scale. As you can see, it's my first little mock-up of the tunnel entrance, and the coaches go through there with no problem whatsoever. That's the Mark ones. They've run so well. To make the little tunnel entrance, I used an old cup, Peco cup, and we're spraying over there with the Frisk just to waterproof it again. And now we're on with the sculptor mould. Fantastic stuff, this. So easy to use, and it makes a nice and easy way of breaking up that straight edge between the backdrop and the landscape that looks so false if just left as it is. Here we go. I'll let you listen to Jimmy's guitar while this happens. That's just smoothing off a little bit because it can be a little bit rough. That little gap there is me filling in where there was a little dip in the top of the tunnel. Quick test. Everything's glued in place. Right, on we go with a bit of burnt umber, cheap acrylic. It's great having kids who are artists, loads of paint around. Then on we go with some good old-fashioned PVA to stick the track down. Now, everyone can see the mistake I made here. Yes, I forgot to spray it first. Never mind. Nothing that can't be resolved. So this is the little shunting top piece, which at the moment is just DC powered because you can't get a small enough loco yet from Hornby. When it comes out, I will turn this into an ABC shuttling yard that will just go back and forwards. Also, I might just use it as a display or store area for a whole load of wagons if we go to a show. There you go. Now I'm doing the spraying of the track, which I should have done earlier. And we go with some of the base glue from Scenic, and that is the brown dried earth, which we're using as a sort of rough mix, so we're using that as a basing area. Drying off, in we go with the cinder ballasting, quick tippy tap, and it was done almost as quickly as in the video, if you believe that. Now we go over with the green base cover, just to help with the mixing up of the tones. Seal it all off. Looks real messy, great fun to do. Then on we went with some powders from DCC Concepts weathering kit. It's a brake dust and there's a little bit of black covering it up where I've gone a little bit too bright. I think I was using brake dust and red rust just to give us some colour variation. And then, yeah, that's ties that up nicely, and then over the top with some of the spray the matte lacquer to seal it in place. Also dulls it down. Quick tickle with some wet and dry, clean up the rails. And then a little bit of masking because I'm going to spray on some adhesive and then use some 1mm flock. And I wanted a little bit of the flock to be in the middle of the rails. There we go. Right, so the quick explanation for the backdrop here. We have, obviously, I'm not quite sure you can see in there, but there is a localized point. This is to run locos and units into the actual, onto the actual track through there. We have a bit of a head shunt that goes down there. Okay, and then this long straight here is the loading run, which is entered here. You'll notice I've made space in the ballast back here. In fact, the ballast is not really needed. It was just a practice piece, as it was the first part I'd ever laid. I made space back here for the Hornby TT120 loading ramp, which is very useful. So that sits in there. Everything in there is white to try and bounce as much light around as possible, so that if I'm at a show, then I can actually or a club night, I can more clearly see what's going on down there. So let's first of all stick on some Mark 1 composites, which run very well, by the way. Put that down there, and I think we'll run these with the use of Falcon, seeing as she's BR. There we go. Excellent. Right, time for a quick little close up of what we've been doing. Hopefully this shows a good level of I don't know, bass work. I wanted the tracks to look like they were not used very much and hadn't had a lot of maintenance. So some areas the ballast has dropped away from the sleepers, and some areas you've still got traces of where there were a sort of shoulder to the ballast, like down here. There's a little shoulder down along that edge, but generally sort of like a rough mishmash, an area that hadn't really been looked after. A little bit of weed, a little bit of grass going down the middle. As a base level, I'm quite pleased with that, and I'm pleased with how the scale scenes retaining wall worked, and my version of the tunnel entrance. Generally, yeah, I'm happy with the whole scene. I think I might like to have a few I don't know, old rusty bicycles and some bits and bats, and possibly some kids with playing football and jumpers for goalposts, maybe down in this green patch area here, like they've broken through the fence to play football. Yeah. Right, hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. Let's have a quick chat about some of the stuff we've used. Okay, so um, let's start off with the premise that you can use 100 ways to skin a cat, and you can use lots of different products, and lots of different products will replicate what we've got here. And actually, I'll be really interested to know your suggestions. If you've come across something better, please add it in the comment below. Okay, but this is what I've found whilst looking at other people's YouTube accounts, like Darkside Scenic, for example, and also Charlie at Chadwick. And this is, and also I met some of these guys at Doncaster as well at one of the shows. So that was really good to see what we were doing. So let's start off with the first thing down, and that's sculptor molds. Now, some people want to use plaster, they want to use resins, they want to use car body filler. Yeah, you can use all of that. That's perfectly fine. What's so good about sculptor mold? Because it's not particularly cheap. Although, to be honest, pound for pound, it's not so bad either. Really, it does go quite a long way. It's light, big bonus. It's quick to use. It's quick to actually work. It has quite a long drying time. It's a bit of a slight downside. But if it's a warm enough environment, it will eventually go off. It's really, really simple to use. You can leave it rough. You can smooth it out. When it goes hard, you can sand it. You can drill it. It's a bit like a good old household filler. I don't think it has any vox, any at all, as opposed to other fillers. And also because it's still got a slight flex to it. Doesn't crack when you've got heat variation if your layout is in the loft or in a garage or shed, etc., etc. Right, so super good stuff. Right, okay. Next thing down, let's go with first of all, what do we do first? Okay, ballast. Right, so it's TT scale. 120. It's closer really in scale to 143, I guess. So I'm looking at N gauge products all the time for what we're doing here. I think it works much better. I'm using. I got these from Woodland Scenics. This is fine cinders. So that's what I've been using on this outfit because I like the cinder. It's an East Yorkshire thing. We have the cinder track up on the coast. It's just I prefer it to the light and medium greys, particularly for an old layout. If I go for more modern, I would probably go for a more modern mid-tone grey ballast. But it shows off highlights well, being dark. Okay, held in place obviously by Ballast Bond. Now there are lots of other different brands out there. There are people who will just water down PVA and say it works perfectly fine. There are people who say that some PVAs, when they go off, go too hard and they brittle and they transfer the sound and the noise. And I think there's very little in it. If you want to use watered down PVA, perfect, fine. Just don't forget to spray whatever you're doing before you put this on. Spray water with a little bit of fairy liquid or using alcohol to try and break down. So you've got a soaked area that when this hits it, the surface tension is already broken and your stuff doesn't float up. This just soaks around all your ballast. Right, great job. Okay, next thing I did was I put down Dry Earth. Now this is from WW Scenics. They're called War World Scenics. That's right, because I guess they got a lot of their stuff from Wargaming. It's quite bitty and gritty. Some people might think it's a little bit too big for this scale, but I think it's a good thing to cover. It gives you some depth. It gives you little bits of sticks sticking out. On its own, as a base for TT120, it's out of scale. But as a base for cover to go on top of, I think it's excellent. And I love the effect that I've got here. I don't know if it comes up on my camera because I'm using an old iPhone. Right, okay. So that's Dry Earth, which obviously I was using some basing glue to hold in place, brushed in place with, to hold that down. I then sprinkled over the top of that. I used a blended turf. This is again a Woodland Scenics product. It's a fine grain, super fine grain. It gives you that base color. I think that works as a good sort of background to using flock or grass. Okay, of course, all of that got the same ballast bond to go over the top of it. I think that works perfectly fine. There are other people who use hodgepodge, I can't remember what it's called, but ballast bonds is fine, perfect. Quick sprinkling over with a layering spray. Now, this is for the grass, which I chose 1 mil. I might, in some places, use some 2 or 3 mil in little tufts, but I think for this scale, 1 mil is about as far as I want to go, which is basically that's 120 millimeters of grass. Okay, that's fine, unless I want to do something a little bit deeper and wilder. Perfect, but for lawns and for meadows, I think this is perfectly fine. And I like the off color. I don't like it too bright. It's not a model railway. It's a proper layout. That was obviously applied with their hand grenade, which you that's a little battery powered job, 9 volt. You don't pull that and throw it. Now the grill that they come with, I find it's too big, particularly for the 1 mil. So I use this mesh, which is a super fine. It's probably about a 1.5 mil mesh. Cut a little disc, put it in there as an extra layer, and it works perfectly. Absolute brilliant piece of kit. I know loads of people have made their own handmade ones. Good luck to you. I don't have those skills. Okay, right now, and last but not least, you saw me mucking about with different sort of powders on the rails. So I'd spray the rail with good old red primer, oxide primer, because I like the color of the rust it leaves behind. And then I mucked about with from DCC Concepts some of their weathering powders. Now I was using I think I used brake dust, and then I used the black, and also the I think it was might be the red rust or the brown rust. I like the red rust and brake dust, just to give some color variation in it more than anything, that mottled feel, and then went over the top with the black to knock it back a little bit. Okay, I've got to practice with applicating so that I don't waste so much, because I think I could have got away with using less black if I'd used less of the brake dust and the red rust dust. Okay, that's it. Apart from, of course, the obligatory please like and subscribe and ring the little bell thingy malarkey. Share on any forums or social media platforms you choose. And please, I love having the comments. And if you've got any ideas, or you've got things you want me to do, or you might like to see on the channel, get involved. Brilliant stuff. All right, cheers.